And then the devotees was everywhere. It was 400 devotees in little 439 Hannah Street building. So it was really crowded. Next morning, around 11 o'clock, I remember, I was just hanging around Bhagavan Prabhu. And Bhagavan Das said, just wait here and see whenever I get a time, I'll take you. So he took me in to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was sitting alone in his little room there. And he said, Prabhupada, this boy is an engineer in Detroit and he's now chanting Hare Krishna and he's read your books and he wanted to meet you. So Prabhupada said, oh yes, what is your name? I said, my name is Janak Joshi and where are you from? I'm from Surat. Oh, you're from Surat. Surat is a very nice place. I was there and I received a very good reception. People were very, very pious and they just, they were very interested in chanting. It's a very nice place. You should, what are you doing? I'm an engineer. So you work as engineer and whenever you have sufficient money, you go and build a temple there. So this was the first instruction that Prabhupada gave me when I met him. Incidentally, Prabhupada's first instruction was fulfilled. Now we don't have, not only we have temple in Surat, but we have temple in Ahmedabad, Baroda, Surat. We have 6 temples in Gujarat right now. In Surat, we have a very beautiful temple just opened last year on the bank of river Tapi. It's also a very nice place, Radha Damodar temple. Then I remember I was sitting there and he was also talking about one devotee who was, I think he had some fall down. And the lead, Kirtananda Maharaja, somebody brought the news that Prabhupada, your servant has had some affair with some lady here. So Prabhupada went like this. He was saying, in the old days, the Kshatriyas had more than one wife. So he said, so whatever you want to do, you do. So they said, but he should not be your servant, Prabhupada. So I said, okay, so give me another servant, no problem. And I saw the air of detachment and the air of, and the mood of tolerance. Prabhupada was such a tolerant person because he was just thinking that in this age of Kali, especially in this country, whatever people will, whatever percentage of my teachings people will accept, I'll accept it. It's 5%, 10%. And gradually, maybe people, as the time goes, they will advance. So whenever there was a problem, he never made a big thing out of a problem. Then I saw the first day, my first meeting in you, then I saw the way he was so nonchalantly saying, he did not condone the activity, but just to cool down the people who are complaining. He just said that, in the old days, Kshatriya had more than one wife. So. But then he removed him as a servant. I remember another thing, when we were in the evening at Prabhupada's hill. So Prabhupada, Keshava Prabhu, he was the president of San Francisco. He had brought a big bus there, and he wanted to show Prabhupada his bus. So Prabhupada saw the bus and he said, oh, this is wonderful, very nice. Then he said, so Keshava Prabhu, are you thinking of getting married? So Keshava said, no, Prabhupada, I'm happy as the way I am. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is very nice. Marriage is like you're walking nicely on the street and then you pick up a big stone and put it on your head. So marriage is like that. It's a big burden. And brahmachari life is very nice. Simple life. So why take a big burden like that? That's another thing I remember. So on the Janmashtami morning, I was supposed to be initiated. So, I was kind of raw. I didn't know what was coming. And then all of a sudden, Prabhupada's servant jumped from the car. Prabhupada was coming to the initiation ceremony. And his servant jumped out of the car and he saw me and said, "Hey, Janak Kumar, Prabhupada said that if you want to be initiated, then you have to shave your head." So, all of a sudden, I was still working outside and I had to shave. And I said, what should I do? I was thinking. Now there was no time to go back and forth to Prabhupada because he was already in temple room for the initiation. So devotees in Detroit, they devotees from Detroit, they said, "Come on, your hair is going to come back. Just shave up, what's the big deal? And you're getting this wonderful opportunity. Pure devotee is going to initiate you." As agreed. So I said, okay. And then Narottam Prabhu shaved me up, last minute. And then when I took a shower and put clothes and went to the temple room, and Prabhupada saw me and said, there was everybody sitting there. So he nodded like that. And then I sat down and I was initiated. Your name is Yashomatinandan Das. Later on, I asked Prabhupada, I thought, if somebody was working outside, he could keep hair. Prabhupada said, the hair will come back, but in a Vaishnava ceremony, if you want to sit down, you should shave your head. He was very kind. I think this was Krishna's dictation to him, especially for me, because I was such a difficult and tough person. And without that special dose of mercy, I would not have been what I am today. I was so embarrassed to go back to Detroit. I just left that life and went to Chicago and started a new life as a brahmachari in the ashram. And that would have never happened. I would have never actually made that progress. So that was also one thing that now I look back, I think it's Krishna's dictation to him. That he had a way to, had different medicine for every person. He was an expert doctor. And I can never thank him enough for the way he transformed my life. I asked him about Jesus Christ. I said, Prabhupada, you say Jesus Christ is the pure devotee, but he never mentioned the name of Krishna, or he never chanted Hare Krishna. So how can we say pure devotee? Prabhupada said, because he had no material desires. He was free from material desires. Therefore, he is a pure devotee. So this is one thing he taught us. Ever since then, my esteem for Jesus just went high. And I look upon him as any other acharya. In fact, Jesus, he was a very bold acharya. And because he was a great preacher, Prabhupada had a natural appreciation for him. No other Indian swamis or yogis or teachers, they could have that kind of appreciation of Jesus as Prabhupada had, because Prabhupada himself was doing the same thing as Jesus was doing. So I went to LA, and here I also got married here after 3-4 months of being here to a devotee girl. She was also Prabhupada disciple, and we've been married 30 years now. And I wrote to Prabhupada about that I was going to get married. Prabhupada said, yes. Married, husband and wife, double strength. He said, in like that, blessed like that. Then on Prabhupada, we had a fire sacrifice, Jatirtha Prabhu had done. And Prabhupada gave a ring from his finger to my wife. And because we were going to India, he gave us a lot of blessings and encouragement. I also remember one time Prabhupada was sitting in his garden and he started speaking about uh, how he was almost frustrated in coming to America because he was trying for P forms from the Indian government to come to America. He had uh, gone from one department to another department, another department, and they were not giving him. He had convinced Sumati Morarji to give him a berth on her steamer, but then Indian government had to sanction his P form. So he said, I was frustrated. I was getting out of the uh, office, and then one Bengali gentleman he saw me, and he said, he spoke to me in Bengali, how are you, Baba, what do you want? Is there anything you come here for, Swamiji? So he said, yeah, what is your name? My name is Banerjee. Oh, so I started speaking to him Bengali, and that man, Banerjee, he went around from this table to that table and got his P form sanction. And he says, just Krishna's mercy. So how much I tried and it didn't happen, and this man, immediately last minute, he did it. So he helped me. And then I came to America, and I used to go to, sometimes I would go back to the pier on which I landed and ask, when is the next steamer going to back to India? Because I was trying very hard and I was struggling very hard. So one man was there, Indian man. He says, Swamiji, you have asked so many times, but you are not going to India because you have come with a mission. So Prabhupada said, actually, I also did not want to go back without getting some success. But I would go and ask just when is the next steamer going to India. So finally, his mission took off and so that portion he was narrating. And I think Saswagama was also there at the time, sitting in the garden. It has been recorded. But I remember that very intimate discussion once in his garden. Then in his room, I remember once Giriraj Maharaj's parents coming there, Giriraj Das Brahmachari. Giriraj had just come from India after being in India for 3-4 years. He was a little sick, so he had come to Chicago. And then he came to Los Angeles. And Giriraj's parents came to see Prabhupada in Los Angeles. And his father was a very respectable man. He was a judge in a court there. And it appears that his father was making some gesture to Prabhupada that if there is anything I can do for you, I would be happy to do it, giving donation, huge donation, whatever. Will you please let my son come back to his family? So, because he was the only son of his parents. So Giriraj was sitting there and Prabhupada said, so Giriraj, what do you think? So Giriraj said, no, Srila Prabhupada, there is no power in this world that can now separate me from your lotus feet. So Prabhupada smiled and he told his father, actually, I am not keeping your son. But he likes this Krishna consciousness, so he is staying. I have no objection if he comes to you and continues this activity at home also. But I cannot force him to leave because he has come to me. So, but I can assure you that he will be very happy and peaceful here. And he will make you proud, father. And then his father is a kind of he was a jolly man. So there were so many uh, exchanges. But I remember that both mother and father left very happily from Prabhupada. It's a very positive impression of Srila Prabhupada. So he knew exactly how to conduct himself, especially with the parents of the devotees. He sympathized with them. When I went back to India in 1974, my parents also went to see him. And my mother was saying, our only son, we put all our money, everything to send him to America. And, he has now left everything and joined. So Prabhupada said that, but he has joined here and you can also come and join. I will give you a room. I will give you a nice place to stay. And your son has now become a devotee of the Lord, so you should be proud. There are so many people who go to America and make money, but your son is a very rare person. And he talked to them so nicely. So I remember my mother afterwards saying, your Guru Maharaj is a very kind-hearted person. So any bitterness or any resentment that anybody ever had, when they sat in front of Prabhupada, it melted away like anything. Another thing at another time, I asked Prabhupada, how did Lord Ramchandra disappear? So Prabhupada said, the Vaishnavas do not discuss the disappearance pastimes of the Lord. But he entered Saryu River and along with the whole Ayodhya. And finally I read in Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, the Lord Ramchandra entered in the river Saryu, and along with him the whole Ayodhya entered, and they went to Vaikuntha together. So they gave me another very important principle that the pastimes, the disappearance pastimes of the Lord is not very much discussed by the devotees. Another time I asked about Rupa Goswami, and I said that Rupa Goswami was born in a Saraswata Brahmin family, very exalted Gauda Saraswat family. And he was such a great scholar in Sanskrit, and he had a very powerful Vedic background. Why does he feel so uh, low that he also did not enter the temple of Jagannath, Rup Sanatan? That's what I asked him. Why would they not enter the temple of Jagannath? Well, they were actually just because they associated with Muslims. So Prabhupada said, well, associating with Muslim means adopting their habits, like meditating and other things like that. So maybe they also had associated with them in that way. So they felt like that. Very pragmatic person, maybe. But he said, but everything they did was under the dictation of Krishna. They are eternally liberated souls, Nitya Siddha. So it doesn't matter what they did. Also, I asked about another big Bhagavad reciter in India, probably the biggest ever. He's no longer there, but he was there very big then. He had a very saintly character. His name was Dongre Maharaj. So when he gave Bhagavad Bhagavad recitation, he would shed tears tears from his eyes, and even the audience would cry the way he would speak. Mostly he would speak in Gujarati, but he had become famous all over northern India. He also spoke in Hindi. Even till today, people revere him as a great Bhagavatam reciter. So Prabhupada said, I don't know about him. What does he say? So I said that, well, he does speak about Krishna's pastimes, but he also says that you can worship whoever is your Ishtadev, whomever you believe in. And you can also chant Om Namah Shivaya or cling Durgaya Namaha, Chamundaya Namaha. There are several mantras that he prescribed. Even though in his own katha, he would generally chant Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. That's the mantra he would describe. He would himself recite. Prabhupada said, if he thinks that the name of Krishna, name of the demigods, is the same, then he is not Dongre, he is Dongre. Dong means pretension, make believe. So He says, not Dong, it's Dongre. He says that the devotee, Vaishnava will not say that the holy name of Krishna is equivalent to anything else. So he never judged a person by his looks or by his name or by the style of speech or by the tears he shed, but he judged the person by what he spoke, the philosophy, the Siddhant. So that was a nice experience hearing. He would speak, whoever came, he would give philosophical, instructions. That was his life. Whoever came, after 2 minutes, he would start talking about Krishna. And he used to keep this book, one by Dr. Radhakrishnan, one by Gandhi. And he used to show to very intelligent, prominent people, see what Dr. Radhakrishnan is saying, that this Kurukshetra is not a historical place. Kurukshetra means your body. 5 Pandavas means your 5 senses. And Kauravas means all the evil desires in the mind. And originally this poem of Mahabharata was written by some poet who assumed the fictitious name Vyas, and then somebody else added something, and somebody added something else, and it became a big epic. But it's not written by one man, but by several people. Like that, his Indological ideas which he learned from Westerners, that's what he was propounding. Prabhupada was blasting. He said, today historical places there, Kurukshetra, and thousands of people are visiting, and he says Kurukshetra is not there. So, how can you learn Bhagavad Gita or hear anything from such a person? Then he also had one book by Mahatma Gandhi, Essays on Gita. In one of the statements, Mahatma Gandhi says that if all these activities that are attributed to Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, if all those activities are true, if actually such a person existed who performed these pastimes, then I refuse to accept him as God incarnate, even at the cost of being banished from Hinduism. So Prabhupada was very furious at this. He said that he had no understanding of who Krishna is. Krishna's pastimes are not material, they are transcendental. And of course, if God is there, then he must be the supreme enjoyer. Obviously, you have the tendency to enjoy, he must have it. Your tendency to enjoy is perverted reflection of his tendency to enjoy. He is the original enjoyer. And for you, you should banish yourself for desiring to actually enjoy pastimes with other female, or actually all God's wives, God's Prakriti. He is the Purushan. Every other Jiva is Prakriti. Therefore, your wife is also his wife. So our desire, we don't have any right, but God has all the rights. Like that, he would explain to the people who visitors who came. And this way, even Gandhiji said in his autobiography, actually, Experiments with Truth, that I always suffered from the lack of spiritual instructions because I never had a spiritual master. He admitted it. But still he made this kind of wild comments. But in his biography he has admitted that I never understood spiritual life. And I suffered because of that. Sometimes he would be very tolerant of his devotees. When whole thing happened about New York activity, Balimardan and his wife story. So he got some letters from New York and he was reading. And then he said, the whole problem is this sex life. He said, Janme sunadi grihamedi sukhami tucham. Tu. Tucham means, tu means spitting. It's useless. He said, all sex life is bad. But especially illicit sex is very bad. So we are having so many problems because of this illicit sex life. Tu. Janme sunadi grihamedi sukhami tucham. There's a big problem, but Prabhupada spoke for 5 minutes and then he never spoke about it again. He reduced every problem to philosophical understanding. He always saw from the philosophical point of view. He was never a doer of anything. He depended on Krishna fully for everything. That I saw in every action. He would pursue a certain line, and if he did not, whether it was going to be successful or not, he left it to Krishna. Some devotees were wanting to go from Juhu to Bombay by taxi. And I am kind of a miserly man. I said, why should you go by taxi? So I told Prabhupada that Prabhupada, devotees want to go from Juhu to Bombay by taxi. It's very expensive. So Prabhupada said, I was objecting, and it was kind of, some devotees were getting a little agitated. So I told Prabhupada that, he was getting agitated because I'm objecting to this thing. So Prabhupada said, you just think like this. They were just like tigers, blood. It's like tigers drink blood. They were eating flesh and blood. Now they are chanting Hare Krishna. They are enjoying spiritual. They are dancing. Is not that a very great achievement? So if they want some money, just give them. If they are taking some extra money, if there is some fault, don't worry about it. Then next day in the class, he said, money is very, very hard to come. He said, every rupee should be considered as a brick in the temple. Money is like Krishna's blood, and we should not waste money. So instruction. So to me, he said, you tolerate. To them, he says, don't. Money. In other words, you can say the same thing, but you can say it in such a nice way that a person does not feel discouraged. This was the key principle in Prabhupada's dealing with every devotee. And that's why he was able to produce so many managers. In spite of all of us making so many mistakes, the movement grew because Prabhupada's kindness and affectionate nature. Another instance I remember is when the Nectar of Instruction came out, the book.
Hare Krishna. So we heard amazing lecture from His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu. Now we have with us His Grace Narad Muni Prabhu. So we had given the introduction before, but Prabhu has various intimate pastimes, and he was serving His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu in ISKCON Ahmedabad. And we are fortunate enough to have him today with us in this session. So over to you, Narad Muni Prabhu. You can kindly tell us about His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. सुन पा रहे हैं प्रभु आप? हरे कृष्णा. Narad Muni Prabhu, your voice is not audible.
Prabhu, I have switched on my mic from here. I don't know why it's not audible. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, we can listen you now.
Okay, okay. हरे कृष्णा. सो कृष्ण कीर्तन प्रभु मुझे हिंदी में कहना है या इंग्लिश में?
English, Prabhuji, English.
Okay, okay. Hare Krishna. So first of all, I would like to thank all the devotees over here, especially Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, for giving me this chance to speak about His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu. So I have been like I was born and brought up in an ISKCON family. My parents are very senior devotees here in ISKCON, and they have been serving in Ahmedabad since quite many years. So we got this chance to serve His Grace Yashomati Nandan Prabhu, and Prabhuji always saw us as his grandchildren. So His Grace Yashomati Nandan Prabhu met Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, can you change the slide? So Prabhuji met Srila Prabhupada in America, and his wife, Her Grace Radhakund Mataji, at that time, before joining ISKCON, she was one of the top models in USA. She was a model at that time, and she used to study in Ohio University. But after meeting Srila Prabhupada, she left everything, and Srila Prabhupada got them both married. Then, when Srila Prabhupada came to know that Yashomati Nandan Prabhu was from Gujarat, he instructed him to return back to Gujarat and start preaching over there. So Prabhuji left everything. He just got married. You could imagine that you are just 25, 26, and then your guru instructs you to leave everything. You came to America for a good job for your studies, and then your guru instructs that leave everything and start preaching. So so Prabhuji was so determined in serving Srila Prabhupada that he left everything at such a young age. He returned back to Gujarat with his wife, and they both started their preaching from here in Ahmedabad. So there is a in Ahmedabad we have this farm at Katwada, which is some 35 kilometers from the ISKCON temple that we are having right now. So from there he started his preaching, and now we have over 100 acres farm over there, and now a temple is also going to be built over there. So when Prabhuji and Mataji they started their preaching, actually Prabhuji used to drive the bicycle, and Mataji used to sit behind him with like box of Bhagavad Gita, and they distributed Bhagavad Gita door to door. So this temple that we are seeing right now in ISKCON, it is not that it was built in some very easy way. It was very difficult for Prabhuji. He was a grihastha at that time, and they used to sit on cycle and then distribute door to door this Bhagavad Gita. And from that, whatever Lakshmi came, this is the wonderful temple that they have built. And like that, they have established over 15 ISKCON temples, not centers. They have established 15 ISKCON temples all over Gujarat. So you could imagine that being a grihastha, how difficult that task would have been. Actually, even for a brahmachari or sannyasi to establish one temple and then to maintain that, it takes a lot of blood. So much of management is required, so much of energy is required over there. But Prabhuji, being a grihastha, he single-handedly inspired devotees to build 15 temples, and that is what we are very much surprised, because a grihastha does not have so much of time, so much of energy, because he has a family to look over. But Prabhuji's greatest sacrifice was his children. He did not pay attention to his children because he thought that he will not be able to serve Srila Prabhupada very nicely. So you can imagine what kind of uh, disciple he would have been, such a dedicated disciple. So so Prabhupada ji is very happy with with Prabhuji's service. So His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu was also known as living encyclopedia or walking encyclopedia as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, because you name any shastra, and he was such kind of person that he would establish Krishna conscious principle from any scripture. So it's not that you only need Srimad Bhagavatam to establish any Vaishnava Siddhant. Actually, Prabhuji was so expert that he used to quote from Vedant Sutra anywhere from any, and then he could quote from Kurma Puran, he could quote from Skanda Puran, any Tamasic and Rajasic Puran also to establish Vaishnavism. He was so strong. Actually, he was born in a Brahmin family. So from birth, he knew some principles of Vaishnavism, but he did not take it seriously until he met Srila Prabhupada. So when he met Srila Prabhupada, I think within that 1 month period, he by-hearted the entire Bhagavad Gita within that 1 month period. Even here in temple, whenever we saw Prabhuji while giving lectures, he could quote shlok from anywhere. So when once Prabhuji suffered a brain stroke, he had brain stroke 2 times. He suffered from it. Even though he suffered from that brain stroke, he remembered all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam very well. It is a matter of um, we all were surprised how is this possible, because memory the memory loses, and then you don't remember the words. But then when Yashomatinandan Prabhu used to give class, although his words were not very clear, but he still deliberately wanted to give class. My father and some very senior devotees, they used to suggest that, Prabhuji, now you're old, you should instruct us and we will deliver classes. But Prabhuji told, no, I want to serve Srimad Bhagavatam, I want to serve Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in the later years, we also saw that actually, if someone closely sees Prabhuji's life, he will see that Prabhuji was almost every time very tough when you will deal with him. He was almost very tough, especially in the matters of money. He was very strict because he knew that this is Krishna's money. So even we used to go to his room in the temple. Prabhuji's room was very simple. It is not that he was temple president, so he had a very luxurious room or some very nice bed. It was never like this. And he did not have a good car. He even never wore a good kurta. So every single penny that Ahmedabad received as donations or whatever, it was used for Krishna's service. So that was some high standard that as a grihastha, as a temple president, he kept and he maintained it. Sometimes my father used to tell him that, Prabhuji, why don't you wear a good kurta? At least it should not be torn. If not ironed, at least it should not be torn. उनका कुर्ता फटा हुआ होता था, but Prabhuji was not worried about that. And he was such a senior Prabhupada disciple. If you see, there is one photo of Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada is sitting in the garden on a chair, and all the sannyasi and other senior disciples are sitting on the ground. But His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu was also sitting with Srila Prabhupada on the chair, on that same level. So you could imagine that Prabhupada kept Prabhuji on that same platform as his. So that was his greatness. Although he was Grihastha, but his services were unparalleled actually. So once, okay, here is written that he serves as the non-GBC regional secretary for Gujarat and was a member of ISKCON Bureau. So Prabhuji served at those levels also. Personally speaking, I have seen Prabhuji um, Actually, Prabhuji was very strict when it came to devotees, but when it came to us who were like his grandchildren, he was very soft. So once I had some heated argument with Prabhuji, which I should not be having, and it went for some 20-25 minutes. It was in regards to management, and I did not like what Prabhuji was thinking or he was taking decisions. But I was small at that time, and I did not know the proper sadachar. So I argued with him, and the last statement that Prabhuji gave me was, "तुम मेरे गुरु हो क्या कि मैं हर चीज तुमको समझाऊं?" He told that, "Are you my guru that I should be explaining you each and everything?" So then I understood that I had crossed my limits. I asked forgiveness from Prabhuji. And in the next day, he gave a class, and there he was explaining um, how there are gurus which are not um, serving in the line of absolute truth, or they are not in the Bhagavad Parampara. They are dhongi gurus. They are not Sadgurus. And then he was explaining Srila Prabhupada ji about his qualities. And then he suddenly said that actually I would take initiation from Narad Muni Prabhu. He told like that. So previous day he scolded me that you are not my guru, that I will explain each and everything to you. But then next day he no he pacified me very nicely. So that is how soft he was. And uh, now the interview which we were seeing before this, the class that Prabhuji was giving, in that interview, if you see, I mean, if that was continued, there was one very nice point that he made. In during the Krishna Balram temple opening, Prabhupada ji sent His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu to actually invite Karpatri Maharaj. I don't know how many of you know actually who Karpatri Maharaj is, but during the time of Srila Prabhupada, he was the greatest Mayavadi scholar to ever exist. He was very renowned Mayavadi scholar and really a very good saint also. Not that he was Mayavadi, so he was not a saint. It's not like that. He was a very good saint and a very good Vaishnava scholar also. He was known to speak Bhagavad just like a Vaishnava. He was known throughout Vrindavan. He was very famous in India. So Srila Prabhupada wanted Karpatri Maharaj to come for the opening of Krishna Balram Mandir. And have you heard this? Have you seen the current Shankaracharya of Jagannath Puri, Govardhan Mutt, Nishalananda Saraswati? So Karpatri Ji Maharaj was Guru of Nishalananda Saraswati Ji, the current Puri Shankaracharya. And he was he was also actually a living encyclopedia. So when Prabhupada told Prabhuji to invite him, actually you could understand from that, Prabhupada did not send any of his sannyasi disciples to actually invite Karpatri Maharaj. He sent Yashomatinandan Prabhu, although he was a grihastha at that time. So there were quite few reasons for that, because Mayavadis believe that a person is a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra from birth, not by qualities, from birth. Since they believed like that, Prabhupada saw that Yashomatinandan Prabhu was fit for that because he was a Brahmin from birth also. And of course, he had taken Brahmin initiation by the time. And also, Prabhuji was very scholarly. He was Indian. He was Indian bodied disciple. And he had read Vedas and Vedanta Sutras. He had studied commentaries of very many acharyas, also of Shankaracharya. So Prabhuji went there. He had a talk with Karpatriji Maharaj. And you don't know that there was a debate over there. Not an official debate, but there was some kind of heated discussion over there. And the discussion was on the Brahminical principle. Karpatriji Maharaj told that your Guru Maharaj has done a very great job by introducing Krishna consciousness to all the foreigner people. In his language, he used to call that म्लेच्छों को आपने भक्त बनाया आपके गुरु महाराज ने बहुत अच्छा किया ऐसे करके. So they never accept the Vaishnava as I mean the foreigner devotees as Vaishnava. They call them mlechchas only. But anyway, he told that your Guru Maharaj has done such a great job. The only thing that he was mistaken. So Karpatri Maharaj told that only thing that Srila Prabhupada did mistake was to give Brahminical initiation to Western devotees. Till name initiation, that was good, but should not have given Brahminical initiation. So Prabhuji then started to quote from Shastras. He first quoted Bhagavad Gita's Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Made them understand that actually the Virat Purush from his from his mouth, whatever jivas emanate, all they are all Brahmanas, and from his hands, whoever emanates, they're all Kshatriyas. It is not by birth actually. From the Virat Purush actually they come. So whoever is actually joining this Krishna consciousness movement, although they are by birth they are mlechas, but they have come from Virat Purusha's mouth. They are not ordinary jivas because they have come in association of Srila Prabhupada. Then Karpatriji Maharaj did not accept that. Then Prabhuji quoted Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasya yal lakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivanjanam. He quoted that sloka. And when, after quoting several shlokas, when Karpatriji Maharaj also did not have answer for that, then he told that your Guru Maharaj has taught you very well. He has trained you very well in all the Shastras. So he was appreciating Srila Prabhupada's endeavors in actually preaching. But somehow or the other, because he was trained in Shankar Sampradaya, he was not ready to accept by heart that such a thing can happen. Then he gave an analogy that there is a tiger and then there is a tiger like person. Although the person may have the bravery and courage and prowess like a tiger, but still a tiger is a tiger. So he tried to differentiate between a Brahman and a Vaishnav like a Brahman, like that Karpatri Maharaj was trying to do that. But then Prabhuji gave a very bold reply. He told that, what about compassion? So Srila Prabhupada has the greatest compassion. And although according to you, he may not have created true Brahmanas, but people like Brahmana, still what others have done, they are nowhere near Srila Prabhupada. So he gave a very bold reply. Then he came back and then Prabhupada ji asked him, what did he tell? What did he ask and what did you tell? And then Prabhuji narrated each and every sentence. Then Prabhupada ji told, did he agree with you? Prabhuji told that yes, he agreed for some time, but then again he disagreed with that. So Prabhupada ji told that, see, this is the problem with Mayavadis. Actually, they agree on all Vaishnava principle, but because of their envy, they are not able to follow it. But they will agree with all Vaishnava principles. Like that. So what I mean to say by this, actually, Prabhuji was so young in front of that sannyasi. This sannyasi is known to defeat a Madhva scholar of his time. If you know, there is Madhva Sampradaya, the Sampradaya from which we came. So in Udupi, there was one Acharya at that time during Karpatri Maharaja's time. They had a debate on the term Bhuta, Bhuta Bhavana, that term. And that debate went for 3 days. And Karpatriji Maharaj defeated that Madhva scholar, that Madhva Acharya actually at that time. With that, Karpatriji Maharaj, our very, very young Yashomatinandan Prabhu, who was not even a sannyasi at that time, and he was not even Acharya of any institution. He was a very young devotee, but very scholarly. He had firm faith in Srila Prabhupada, his training. He convinced them that what Srila Prabhupada did was right and is going to be right. So it is not so easy to talk with Mayavadis actually, especially saints like Karpatriji Maharaj, who were the who were the renowned scholars of that time. So Prabhuji actually we had a very good time with Prabhuji. In the last 4 or 5 years before he passed away in 2020 during COVID, we saw him that he was literally living um, as if he had all the Ashtavikars in his body. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read that when a person reaches at the stage of bhav, he will start to cry. Then sometimes he will laugh all of a sudden, and then his he will have all his hairs on end like that. So when His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu used to give class in during Chaitanya Charitamrita, he used to look at Gaur Nitai DT, and all of a sudden he used to cry, and then within two three lines he used to laugh, and then he became serious, and again he used to start crying. So we saw this at least for 4 years before, prior to he passed away. So in the last 4 or 5 years, he actually, I could say that he reached at the level of bhav, and that we could see from our eyes. It is not so easy that just by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita will start crying. He used to cry, and his favorite scripture was Chaitanya Charitamrita. He had read it at least for 20 to 25 times. I could say that because when we used to sit in class, his specs was never at the level of eye. He kept his specs here on the nose. And then he was not reading the book. He was looking at us, but he was reading the book. So how much by heart that Chaitanya Charitamrita was there in his heart, you can imagine. He never read from the book. He spoke two, three lines continuously just by looking at us. उनको इतना कंठस्थ था चैतन्य चरितामृत. वो एक बार just one word he used to read, and then whether we are sitting in the class very nicely, we are listening or not, who is sitting in the class, he will observe everything, he will see there, but he is repeating all the shlokas of Chaitanya Charitamrita with purport, with translation, without looking in the book. So that was our Yashomatinandan Prabhu. And mercifully, I got the final service when he was going to pass away. I was there in the hospital, and my Guru Maharaj was there on him with him on video. Then there was His Grace Basugosh Prabhu over there. Many senior devotees were there. Prabhupada disciples were there. And somehow, by Krishna's mercy, I got the chance to lead Kirtan before his passing away. And that was something that I never expected, that I would lead Kirtan when he would pass away. His sons were there, but I got that chance, and that was the best memory that I have. I have many memories, but that was the best memory. And when we were doing the last rites of Prabhuji, everyone was crying. I was not crying. I thought that how shameless I am that I stayed with him for so many years. He used to treat me like his grandchild, but I'm not crying. Then the next day, and from next day till 1 month, 1.5 month, I was crying every day because all the memories were getting, they were again coming in my mind. How he preached in the jail also. There is this Ahmedabad jail. He used to go there every book marathon. He used to preach there, and he maintained the record of Bhagavad Gita marathon. Always you'll see that ISKCON Ahmedabad used to come in first three in the entire world. The ISKCON Ahmedabad used to come always in the top three. The name was always there. So 1 lakh, above 1 lakh, sometimes 2 lakh Bhagavad Gitas. That was due to our Prabhuji. And now we see that ISKCON Ahmedabad has grown so much. ISKCON Gujarat Yatra has grown so much. It was all because of him. Actually, for a Grihastha, it is not very easy. So, this is a letter by Srila Prabhupada to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, 11 January 1974. Yashomatinandan is a good boy. Now utilize him properly. We are planning that he can open a center in Surat and he will attract many Gujaratis. He is sincere, learned, enthusiastic, and qualified. Keep him nicely engaged. So Prabhupada ji is using so many terms for him. He is sincere, he is learned, he is enthusiastic and qualified. Four things are not possible in one person. A person can be sincere, but he may not be qualified. He has to become qualified. Okay, a person may be enthusiastic, but then he will make many mistakes. He does not have proper knowledge, but he was also learned. So Prabhuji had all these qualities. Srila Prabhupada saw that in him. He trusted him, and now we have 15 temples and many centers by his grace alone. Uh, my Actually, Prabhuji started his preaching from Surendra Nagar. In Surendra Nagar, he could not preach properly due to some reasons. Then he came to Ahmedabad, and from here his preaching flourished. But my father got this service. He is now preaching in Surendranagar. And when my father informed him that we are preaching in Surendranagar and now we have so many devotees, so Prabhuji was so happy. He told that you are fulfilling my unfulfilled desire. He began his preaching from Surendranagar, but he got success in Ahmedabad. So now Surendranagar is getting carried by my father, and Prabhuji was very happy with that. And now we have so many devotees over there. So anyway, I hope I have not crossed my time. Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. Hare Krishna
Very
Bhakti Prem.
nice.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Prem Maharaj ji.
Narad, very nice presentation. Actually, I am in Puri. I was in Purikrama. I couldn't attend the whole class. So very powerful presentation.
Maharaj ji, Maharaj ji, I'm so sorry. I could not see you. Actually, I could not offer you obeisances. I just saw you right.
No. I was not in full class. I was in Purikrama. I'm Puri now.
We
But
met at Ujjain, Maharaj. You remember?
yeah.
Thank you so much for giving me
Okay.
this service. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Last time Krishna Kirtan Prabhu gave nice presentation.
Yes.
So this time something new. And whatever is said, your realization, not for flattering, and not for reading from book. You have what you observed. You are speaking. You spoke from your heart,
Yes,
and that
Maharaj.
is why I think it is very acceptable by everybody.
I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to speak about him, but you engaged me, Maharaj. I didn't know, Maharaj, you are sitting right now over here. I'm so sorry.
No, very nice. Thank you. Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Those who are listening, actually, we should see Vaishnava through other side. Our eye is not clear due to our contamination in the heart. So we should see through other side. Those whose eyes are clear. So one of the devotees is like Narad Muni Prabhu. And Yashomatinandan Prabhu was not an ordinary devotee. Everybody explains that, and especially recognized by Srila Prabhupada. And he has fulfilled Srila Prabhupada's desire. And I think in Prabhupada's time, in any state in Madhya Pradesh, in any state in India, anywhere of the world, maximum big temple in Gujarat. People may think, oh, the Gujarati devotees are good. That may be, but most importantly, leader is the good. America and everybody, when Prabhupada went there, after that everybody become good. So Yashomatinandan was there, that is why Gujarat become good. Thank you very much. I think though it is little extra time, 5-10 minutes, but devotees enjoyed your class presentation. Thank you. Krishna Kirtan, anything more?
No, Maharaj, thank you.
Thank you.
Would like-
It is a humble trial and just to hear from different devotees about different exalted devotees. Those who have not seen, maximum who have not seen them personally or have not heard their glory personally. So through this session, we'll be able to hear Prabhupada Sanghigane Nitya Siddha Kari Mana সে যায় নবদ্বীপ ধামবাস. It is not written in the scripture, but but it is true. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Those are really sharing this session. Srila Prabhupada ki, His Grace Yashomatinandan Prabhu ki, Gaur Premanand.